I was off work this afternoon. It's a beautiful June day, and so I'd come out to the river and see if I can catch a fish or two. I'd be happy with anything I'm able to catch today. My biggest hope would be a Chattahoochee bass. They're in this area, which they're fishing in the Chattahoochee River. But where I am, I think there's a heavier population of shoal bass than Chattahoochee bass. Which I'd enjoy catching shoal bass. But I'm working on the Georgia Bass Slam this year, and I already have my shoal bass, so I'm kind of hoping that I might find a Chattahoochee bass. But again, I'll be happy with anything that wants to eat. There's something. What do we have here? It's a bass. It's a matter of whether it's a shoalie or a Chattahoochee bass. And whether I land them, of course. He was right on the bottom. Caught him in the, actually, it could be a spotted bass. No, the spots get up in here and they hybridize with the other species. It looks more like, I don't know. Get him in and then we'll figure it out. I'm actually not sure. I feel like it's a spotted bass, but it might be a Chattahoochee bass. We're gonna measure him and get pictures for sure. It's not a shoal bass, I know that much. Try a variety of things here, but I'm fishing right now with the Rebel Creek Craw, part of the new Rebel Live Flex series. It's a real natural looking soft plastic crawfish, and that fish hit kind of like what I'm doing right now. I had let it swing down in the current and then get to the bottom, and then I was just crawling it along in the eddy right next to the current when the fish hit. It's got a pretty lifelike action, but in a minute I'm going to try something with a little more flash and wobble to it. I might actually switch to a traditional Rebel crawfish and try wobbling it through there and see what kind of interest that gets. I gotta have a few ideas I want to try while I'm out here. Just the one strike so far. That fish hit it right at the end. Oh, we got a trout. A rainbow trout. I was not expecting that. I don't know why. I've actually caught trout here before, but I had a mentality of bass, and that thing was coming in, and he just absolutely hammered it. I can use the hemostats on him. Those treble hooks can be those little treble hooks can be nasty with the trout. They can be so jumpy and they're so slippery. Get him unhooked and back in the water. Oh, good, he unhooked himself. All right, let's see if we can find another one. Well, that was fun, and a nice little bonus. I was coming through the pool with this Rebel crawfish, and I saw some bait fish that were fleeing, that were like jumping out of the water as I was reeling it back, and I thought they were just running from my crawfish coming through the water. But I think they were coming for running away from the trout that was chasing the crawfish, because right after that, almost at the rod tip, I watched him come up and just hammer it. That was fun. Well, I did a little bit of phone research before I stepped off that rock, and I confirmed that fish was a spotted bass, not a Chattahoochee bass. the most distinguishable thing about the Chattahoochee bass is they have very recognizable orange on the tail and on a couple of the fins. And looking back at the pictures, that did not exist in that fish. And I thought it looked more spotted bass like anyways, but it definitely was a spotted bass. But I looked a little further and I learned that there's not actually a spotted bass minimum in this part of the Chattahoochee River. On Lake Lanier, it's 14 inches. I had said 15. On Lake Lanier, it's 14 inches, but I'm well above the lake, purely in the river. So there's no minimum size. So if I understand things correctly, and I'm pretty certain it's accurate, that was a qualifying spotted bass, which is species number 4 for me on the Georgia Bass Slam that I've been working on. Other videos since the start of the year are the ones that I've been working on. I've caught fish for the Georgia Bass Slam. It might be a little repetitive, and I apologize for that, but the Georgia Bass Slam recognizes the diversity of the black bass species in the state of Georgia, and there are actually a dozen distinct black bass species in Georgia, and 10 of them are separated for the slam because the spotted bass and Alabama bass and also largemouth and Florida bass, although the biologists have learned that they are distinctive species, are very difficult to identify in the field without genetics and knowing what's in a watershed. So those count together for the purpose of the slam. So for the purpose of the slam, there's 10 possible fish that can be gotten, and you need to catch 5 of them of those species during a calendar year in the state of Georgia from waters where you're permitted to fish. And they need to either be 8 inches if there's not a minimum size, or they need to be the minimum size for the waters you're fishing in order to qualify. And then they need to be documented with a picture of the fish on a measuring board or tape measure, and also a picture of you with the fish that shows the markings well for identification purposes. And I now have 4 of the species. I now have 4 species with that spotted bass. Got my largemouth bass and my Bartram's bass, my shoal bass, and now the spotted bass. So if I were to happen to find a Chattahoochee bass out here today, which certainly isn't impossible, it was the one I thought I was more likely to catch, then I could complete the slam minimum today. But I'm glad to have gotten one more species either way. So a little while longer with the Rebel crawfish. It's one size larger than the one that I had on before that I cut the trout in. Dig a little more in the current, cast a little further, see if that gets anybody's interest. Oh my, it got somebody's interest, but I thought I felt it wiggling a little bit extra, but just a very little bit. Looks like a little chub there. So it's 3 species, and it looks like it was trying to eat it. It's hooked right there in the mouth. It's kind of hard to imagine that that was trying to eat that crawfish. But anyways, we'll get him unhooked and back in the water. Well, I came out here thinking I might get my Chattahoochee bass, or hoping to get my Chattahoochee bass. I'm thinking didn't know that a shoal bass was just as likely, but at this point I've got 3 types of fish, and neither one of them are either of those. I got a spotted bass, a rainbow trout, and some type of bait fish. I said chub when I caught him. I admit I do not know my shiners and darters and chubs and all the different river forage very well. That was pretty generic term, just some kind of a minnow species that decided it wanted a crawfish, I guess. Decided to give this upper pool a little bit of a shot before I quite call it a day. Yeah, fishing a little with this rebel crawfish, and I want to try that drop shot that I was fishing earlier. I feel like something hit it there, but I think I was just pumping the shoal, kind of reacting to it and hit the shoal in the current, but it did come back with some grass in it, so that suggests that. Well, I keep saying that I'm gonna try one more thing, one more spot, one more lure, whatever it is. This time I think it's real. Getting ready to, whoops, something hit it. I could slow it down, but it's what they get down to the river in this kind of deep, very slack area that's got the wooded banks, and trying the creek hopper to see if there's a bluegill or one of their near cousins or little bass that might be down here in this pool that might look up on top for this creek hopper. I'm just gonna try a handful of casts with this, unless they give me reason to stick around longer. Yeah, it doesn't look like any more fish are gonna hit. That's okay. This is just something I kind of wanted to try real quick. If I don't catch another fish, it's been a successful afternoon. I've only caught a few fish, but I like the multi-species aspect when I'm fishing. And 3 fish and 3 different kinds, and one of them was a spotted bass, which I did not have yet for my Georgia Bass Slam, so I have to call it mission accomplished, adding one more species.